I played Mafia: The Old Country. It's a beautiful, cinematic, story-driven masterpiece. It starts out pretty slow, taking its time opening you up to the world and the characters. I don't think it's until like chapter 3 or 4 that you can finally get a gun in your hands and shoot people. The ride to Don Teresi's villa, though, is so beautiful. Oh my god. The sunrise against the rolling hills and vineyards is just... This is the most beautiful area for me. Early game especially, this place is bustling. There's a whole crew moving about to prepare dinner. Everyone's smashing berries in these wooden tubs and there's butterflies all over the place. We got a real problem. It's too beautiful. You'll spend a lot of time here, so it definitely makes sense to have it be packed, but they did such a good job, I didn't even want to leave at all. Then once you get there, you're doing a lot of busy work and running errands with Luca. Love this guy. Bernardo Teresi himself is a very formidable Don. I can absolutely see the Brando Godfather inspirations they got, especially with his build and raspier voice. And anytime he's on screen, is intimidating. I only wish we got to know a little more about him, because I feel like all of his lines are just getting mad or complimenting Enzo.
Enzo, you showed bravery. You've made me very proud, Enzo.
It would have been nice if he shared stories about his past or something, just to give him a little more depth. Tino's a scumbag, but we learned that pretty early on just by seeing who he is. He's been in the family for a long time, and never fully trusts Enzo. Cesare is Don Teresi's nephew and believes he'll take control of the family after the Don, and is Enzo's buddy throughout the story. I'll be honest, Enzo was not a very compelling protagonist for me at the beginning. He's had a hard life up until this point, but to me, he was just a good guy who said yes to anything the Don wanted him to do. But as the story progresses, you do start to see more of who he is, what he wants, and that this life isn't really meant for him. And he very quickly, the second he lays eyes on her, falls for the Don's daughter, Isabella. And this forbidden love aspect makes for an interesting story dynamic that you'll just have to play to find out. Switching over to combat, a mechanic they added that I think is really cool is when you're sneaking up behind someone, you actually have to mash a button to choke them out before your stamina runs out. And if it does, they'll break free and alert everyone. Oops. And some of the goons are tougher than others and will determine how long it takes to fully incapacitate them. This makes stealth a little more engaging as you're not just pressing a button and waiting for the animation to finish. You're the one actually putting pressure on their necks, and you gotta keep it up to be successful. I didn't have a problem choking anyone out because my button mashing skills are crazy. Your knife is your best friend, and you'll use it a lot throughout the story. It comes in handy for taking out guards quickly if you're tired of mashing and choking. Enzo's pretty brutal about it too. He'll stab a guard multiple times going down. Each knife has varying durability, from 3 to 7 uses on takedowns and actions before it needs to be sharpened again, which is where a whetstone comes in. When you have your knife out, he'll do it instantly and get it back to how it should be, sharp as shit. There's also lots of lockboxes around that you use your knife to break open and get a large chunk of denarii, this game's currency. The big thing you'll do with knives are essentially boss battles where it's you versus one other person in a closed off space. You'll dodge and parry their attacks and try and counter when they're slashing at you, which will then do this cool slow-mo cutscene and you can cut them up a few times. There's also unblockable moves highlighted by this cross flare that you'll have to dodge. And if they're blocking, you can thrust into them to break it and keep attacking. These were definitely fun and challenging, but aren't really expanded upon or switched up at all past the second fight, which would have been cool to see and keep us more on our toes. Combat as a whole feels more fluid in this game. The guns are weighty, and it takes a sec to lock in your shot. There's points where you're overrun with enemies and bouncing from cover to cover, which makes things more intense and dynamic. I played this game on hard, which I definitely recommend. It's not really that challenging, but it definitely forces you to be more careful and utilize cover because you can get blasted quick. You have to be a little more methodical and take your time when choosing to pop up and shoot people. It also made me loot dead bodies a lot more because while there are bandages and ammo scattered around these areas, you don't stumble upon them super often. So for me it was crucial to loot as needed, hoping to re-up. And near the end of this game too, I shot this guy and he shot straight up into the air. This was the only time I noticed this in my playthrough, which for me is the perfect amount of times. Do not fix this. Let's talk about these cars. There's not a ton to choose from, but cars were just getting started, guys. Come on. This is the 1900s we in after all, but the cars we do get are beautifully made. You can feel the clunkiness of these early engines in their silly interiors with these giant wide cushioned seats, no seat belt, and giant gear levers. Most of them aren't that fast, except for these tube looking guys. They're speedy as hell. And going uphill is a battle you'll lose almost every time. You can customize them too from your boy Pasquale and get some new paint jobs. And that's about it. This car though lets you put the roof up and down, so we already had convertibles back then, I guess. That's pretty cool. A super fun detail that brings back some of the immersion of these games is you can choose to turn the engine off before you get out. And to start it up again, you have to crank that front handle a few times. I purposefully turned my engine off multiple times just so I could do that, cause it's cool. And yeah guys, these wheels stay turned. Confirmed. And for the first time, we got horses. The amount of times I was riding around and hearing other characters talk on horseback gave me Red Dead vibes. And the fact that you can also pet it. So, I feel like that's what they were going for. It's a super fun addition to the series if you want to switch it up. And there's these little spur icons down at the bottom right that act as a speed boost with anime lines going all over your screen. You're on horseback for the first few chapters of the game, and I was itching to finally be able to drive a car. But after driving for a bit, I couldn't help but hop back on a horse every so often. I just wish you were able to change the camera distances on horses like you can when you're in a car. Is there a reason for that? Is that possible to add? Asking for a friend. Horses can also be bought and customized at any of the stables. Mostly just the saddles and rope, but some of them give them a hat with funny hair. Enzo can be customized as well. As the game progresses, you'll unlock more outfits and eventually even be able to change his hair and beard, which is a first for the series. You can do this at Don Teresi's, Pasquale's, and even at your own apartment, which you'll get later in the game. Alright, yeah, this place is kinda dingy, but it's huge, it's right outside of town, and it's all yours. You sold yet? You gonna buy it? You can also swap out your guns here as well before a mission. What also gave me Red Dead vibes was anytime there's a transition from gameplay to cutscene, little black bars will slide onto the screen, giving it that more cinematic feel. There's also some heavy Last of Us gameplay inspirations as well. From throwing bottles at enemies to distract them. When you heal, you wrap a bandage around your arm. And there's a mission at the end that definitely reminded me of the one with Ellie in the winter section, where you're in the burning restaurant and sneaking around to attack David. Your main skill tree this time comes in the form of charms, which are different beads you can apply to your necklace for additional perks and things like health, loot, stealth, and combat. I slapped on Lincoln Clay's charm that lets you choke out enemies quicker, and this one I big time needed, which lets me carry an extra bandage, because one is just not enough. You can find different charms around the map and swap them out at any time on the menu, but there's some you can only buy, and if you want those, you gotta visit Benedetta. You can also bring her Trinacria, which are prized artifacts from Sicily's ancient past, and she'll hook you up with some more denarii. When you've got all slots unlocked, you can make a pretty little necklace like mine. I made that. There's a fun little side activity that becomes available later in the game. You're given a camera by Isabella and you can take pictures of different landmarks around Sicily. You don't have much freedom with it though, cause it pretty much tells you where to take your picture from, where to point your camera, and where to adjust your focus and aperture. And only then, once all those settings are perfect, you can take your picture. I don't necessarily mind it though, because again, it's just something extra you can do. And when they're taken, they come out all black and white and old-timey looking, and are added to your collections in the menu to look at. Speaking of collectibles, it wouldn't be a Mafia game without them. In addition to landmark pics, there's also newspapers covering events from around the world. It's cool to see what was going on back then. Like this article right here, talks about people racing up the Eiffel Tower, and it's become like a trend, which I find hilarious. And it's still going on to this day, I guess. Saints cards, which you can find at different shrines across the map. And the Fox collectibles make a return from Mafia Definitive Edition. And apparently if you collect them all, you get this suit and dog head. I want that. This game was either doubling down on what works with this series, or they were paying homage to other Mafias. There's a few racing missions in here like the first Mafia, one with a horse early on and a tube car race. A shooting out the back of a moving vehicle mission while a bunch of goons are chasing you down a road at night. Then they pulled some Mafia 2 stuff like putting crates in the back of a truck, or in this case, carriage. A night of debauchery, drunk driving, and instead of getting out to puke like Eddie did, Cesare gets on this bridge and pisses off the side of it. Classic. There's also an explorer mode that you can go to at any time that's just a free roam, allowing you to traverse the island at your own pace, where you can take in the sights and get all the collectibles. They're updating the game with free ride in a couple of months, which I assume will add some extra missions and goodies just like the Definitive Edition, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Also, just wanted to say, I love this game's map. It's so detailed and luscious, and when you go up to the top, you can see the island's volcano and mountains in the distance. So props on this design, you guys did not have to go that hard. But I noticed. I played through like a third of this game before I realized there was a performance and quality mode. Love things looking good, but if I have the option to not play a game locked at 30 frames, I'm doing it. Even with quality mode, I was still noticing some texture pop-ins at the beginning of cutscenes, like when it switches to another shot. It didn't bother me too much, but it is definitely noticeable when they switch quickly. And that's why I still prefer performance, even if I did still experience a good amount of frame dippage throughout. Played on a PS5, by the way. My computer could not handle this, so it's still better than what my computer could have done, which is nothing. Another thing I noticed was anytime characters were talking behind me, I could not hear what they were saying at all, and I probably would not have known if the subtitles weren't on. It was funny hearing Enzo respond to something that I didn't even hear. Not sure if that's something that could be fixed. Alright, story time real quick. I wanted to play this game on day one because I love this series so much, and I was getting big time FOMO seeing everyone else play it. But I don't have the time, and I definitely don't have the money. I've been covering these games all year, starting with Mafia 2, which did great on Instagram, and then 1 and 3, leading up to this game's release. And crazy enough, my Mafia 3 rant on TikTok did amazing by my standards, and I was reached out to by a very nice person from yours truly, and given a code for the game, but not just the base game, the deluxe edition. At the time of recording this, I only have 772 subscribers, so for a small guy like me to get this game for free to cap off all these videos is seriously amazing. So thank you, yours truly, 2K and Hangar 13. I'm very glad I got to experience this masterpiece earlier than I expected. The Mafia videos are now done, and I've got a lot of exciting stuff planned for future rants, so stay close.